Everybody, and this is Narendra Kumar, and we are going to present this supplementary reader NCRT English ninth class. Supplementary reader. We have lessons, poems, and supplementary reader, and grammar. There are 4 playlists for ninth class NCRT. So let's start. The first chapter is supplementary reader. These are all classic stories, and the first story is The Lost Child by Mulk Raj Anand. Mulk Raj Anand, R.K. Narayan, Rabindranath Tagore, Amrita Pritam. These are all the classic Indian English authors. Indian English. Let's start. It was a festival of spring. It was a festival of spring. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged a gaily clad humanity. Gaily clad, dressed. Gaily is happy. Humanity, a lot of people. Some walked, some rode on horses, others sat, being carried in bamboo and bullock carts. One little boy ran between his father's legs, brimming over with life and laughter. With life and laughter. Come, child, come, called his parents as he lagged behind. He was behind. Fascinated by the toys in the shops that lined the way. He has come in the exhibition. He hurried towards his parents, his feet obedient to their call, his eyes still lingering on the receding toys. As he came to where they had stopped to wait for him, he could not suppress the desire of his heart, even though he well knew the old, cold stare of refusal in their eyes. I want that toy, he pleaded. His father looked at him red eyed in his familiar tyrant's way. Dictator. His mother, melted by the free spirit of the day, was tender and giving him her finger to hold, said, Look, child, what is before you? It was a flowering mustard field, pale, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land. A group of dragonflies were bustling about on their gaudy, dark colored, gaudy purple wings, interfering with the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. The child followed them in the air with his gaze till one of them would stop its wings and rest, and he would try to catch it, but it would go fluttering, flapping up in the air when he had almost caught it in his hands. Then his mother gave a cautionary call. Come, child, come onto the footpath. He ran towards his parents gaily, happily, and walked abreast of them, in front of them, for a while, being, however, soon left behind, you know, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming out from their hiding places. Teeming out means coming in a big crowd from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. So this boy is attracted to everything. Come, child, come, his parents called from the shade of a grove where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. He ran towards them. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove, and forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hands. Raining petals, the petals of fire raining on him. But lo, he heard the cooing of doves and ran towards his parents, shouting, The dove! The dove! The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hands. Here, there, he was like getting excited. Come, child, come, they called to the child, who had now gone running in wild capers, running round the banyan tree, and gathering him up, they took the narrow, winding footpath which led to the fair through the mustard fields. As they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths. The child could see many other footpaths full of crowd, converging to the whirlpool, round of the fair and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. He was repelled and fascinated. A sweet meat seller hawked gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi. These are sweets of India. Gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi at the corner of the entrance, and a crowd pressed round his counter at the foot of an architecture of many colored sweets, decorated with leaves of silver and gold. The child stared open eyed and his mouth watered from the barfi that was his favorite sweet. I want that barfi. He slowly murmured, I want that barfi. But he half knew as he begged that his begging, his plea, PLEA, would not be heeded, would not be listened to, because his parents would say he was greedy. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. A flower seller hawked a garland of gulmohar, a garland of gulmohar. Gulmohar is the name of a flower. The child seemed irresistibly drawn. Irresistibly drawn. He can't stop himself. He went towards the basket where the flowers lay heaped, and half murmured, I want that garland. But he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say they were cheap. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. A man stood holding a pole with yellow, red, green, and purple balloons flying from it. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of their silken colors. So much wonder. No? What a beautiful writing. And he was filled with an overwhelming desire to possess them all. He wanted them all. But he well knew his parents would never buy him the balloons because they would say he was too old. He was too old to play with such toys. So he walked on farther. A snake charmer stood playing a flute to a snake, which coiled itself in a basket. Its head raised like that. Its head raised in a graceful bend, like the neck of a swan. Lovely comparison, no? Yeah. While the music stole into its invisible ears, like the gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall, gentle rippling, moving of an invisible waterfall. The child went towards the snake charmer, but knowing his parents had forbidden to hear such coarse, C-O-A-R-C, crude, coarse means cheap, music as the snake charmer played, he proceeded further. Look at the construction of the story. He's constructed the story in a rhythmic, musical way. No? He's running, seeing, come child. He can't ask his parents, he's going forward. Beautiful writing. A very good, beautiful writer, Mulk Raja Anand. There was a roundabout in full swing. Men, women, and children, carried away in a whirling motion, round and round, shrieked, shouted, and cried with dizzy laughter. The child watched them intently, and then he made a bold request. I want to go to the roundabout, please, father, mother. There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there, ahead of him. He turned to look on the other side. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them. A full, deep cry rose within his dry throat, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear, Mother, Father! Tears rolled down from his eyes. Hot and fierce. Strong, his flushed face became red. Flushed face was convulsed with fear. Became terribly fearful. Panic-stricken. He had a panic attack. Stricken, he ran to one side first, then to the other. He started running hither and thither in all directions, knowing not where to go. Mother, father, he wailed, shouted loudly. His yellow turban came untied and his clothes became muddy. His yellow turban also came down. His clothes became muddy. Having run to and fro in a rage of running for a while, he stood defeated. His cries suppressed into sobs. Like that is his crying. Like that. At little distances on the green grass, he could see through his filmy eyes, because water has come, no film of water, filmy eyes. Men and women talking, like that he's seeing. Men and women are talking. He tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, but there was no sign of his father and mother among these people, who seemed to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and talking. He ran quickly again, this time to a shrine in which people seemed to be crowding. God statue. Every little inch of space here was congested with men, crowded. But he ran through people's legs, his little sob lingering. Mother, father! Near the entrance to the temple, however, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled each other, pushed each other. Heavy men with flashing, murderous eyes, and hefty shoulders. The poor child struggled to thrust a way between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their brutal movements. Very harsh. He might have been trampled underfoot. He might have been trampled. They would have trampled on him, put his feet on him. Had he not shrieked at the highest pitch of his father, "Father, mother," is shouting. A man in the surging crowd heard his cry and, stooping, bending down with great difficulty, lifted him up in his arms, a kind man. "How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you?" The man asked as he steered clear of the mass. Steered clear of the mass. He came out of that. The child wept more bitterly than ever now, and only cried, "I want my mother. I want my father." The man tried to soothe him, solace him. Okay, no problem. By taking him to the roundabout. "Will you have a ride on the horse?" he gently asked as he approached the ring. The child's throat tore into 1,000 shrill sobs, and he only shouted, "I want my mother. I want my father." The man headed towards a place where the snake charmer still played on the flute to the swaying cobra. "Listen to that nice music, child," he pleaded, but the child shut his ears with his fingers and shouted his double-pitched strains. Look at the need of parents, they're very beautifully expressed. "I want my mother, I want my father." The man took him near the balloons, thinking the bright colors would distract the child's attention and quieten him. Would you distract the child's attention and quieten him? "Would you like a rainbow-colored balloon?" he persuasively asked. The child turned his eyes from the flying balloons and just said, "I want my mother, I want my father." He's like crying, he's like not stopping. The same intense curiosity which had led him to ask all these things are now asking for his mother and father. The man, still trying to make the child happy, took him to the gate, where the flower seller sat. "Look, can you smell those nice flowers, child? Would you like a garland to put around your neck?" The child turned his nose away from the basket and reiterated his sob. Repeated, "I want my mother, I want my father," thinking to humor his disconsolate charge. Disconsolate means he is not able to soothe him. Disconsolate means he's so despairing, can't soothe him. Disconsolate charge. By a gift of sweets, the man took him to the counter of the sweet shop. "What sweets would you like, child?" he asked. The child turned his face from the sweet shop and only sobbed, "I want my mother, I want my father." And he stops here. He might have found the father, mother later. The point here is, this completes the story. The point here is, the child is so interested in the whole world, but he also requires a certain very basic security. I think it's true for all of us. That's what they say, you have to be biologically safe for you to adventure on. Whatever. Beautiful expression. There's so much in this story. A story is not just one theme or one point. It's not an essay. A story is a feeling. So I will not come between you and Mulk Raj Anand. You can hear this video again and again. Then you can give a gap and you can read the story on your own. That's the only way to read and enjoy the story fully. If you read hundreds and thousands of such stories, you'll develop a great sensitivity to life. You'll enjoy life. Thank you.